It's one of the most remote regions in the entire world. Vast and untouched.
There are very few places in the world where somebody can go and set foot on a place and be in a place that really is unchanged by humans.
It may look like a place frozen in time, but Antarctica is actually bursting with activity. And changing faster than anyone ever predicted. We've traveled thousands of miles to get here to Antarctica. Hello everyone, I'm Christy Kruger.
And I'm Ron McGill. Welcome to the bottom of the Earth, where it's summertime and temperatures have soared to a balmy 20 degrees.
But it's actually the perfect time to be here.
Because there's so much to see and do.
Come with us as we sail through shrinking glaciers.
And travel through icy waters on zodiacs in search of seals.
From watching rookeries filled with playful penguins.
To whale watching in the mysterious Southern Sea.
Wow. We spent a week exploring one of the most pristine places in the entire world.
And learn about the secrets buried deep in this ancient ice.
And we did all of this with our eco-hero, Bela Perdomo, who literally plunged into this icy adventure.
We've made it to the majestic 7th continent.
But before we take you out onto the frozen tundra, let's take a look back at how this incredible journey began.
Hello, my name is Bela Perdomo and I'm a freshman in high school.
It all started here on Miami Beach.
Okay.
It's where 16-year-old Bela is working on an alternative to toxic paint
These are the samples
that will prevent barnacle growth on boats. It's her award-winning science project that earned Bela the title of our 2018 Local 10 Eco-Hero.
This is my home. I'm going to have to live on this planet for who knows how many years. And I want to make sure that it's good for me and for generations to come.
Hopefully, by bringing this student, we can inspire this student to become an ambassador for that cause, for what's happening in Antarctica.
This is Bela! Ron, how you doing? You are our eco-hero! Bela's prize, and the adventure begins. A once-in-a-lifetime trip to Antarctica. But our trip to the 7th continent never happened last year.
I offer you apologies. The intestine workout.
That's the thing about Antarctica. The weather changes in a heartbeat.
So we're officially canceling the voyage.
Days of high winds and dense fog made our expedition impossible.
That was the most disappointing spot. Taking that picture with the flag at the airport at the end, I was trying to smile.
How's it going, guys? Everybody ready? Hi, sweetheart. You excited? More than 1 year later,
E21, okay?
Thank you.
that was safe.
21. And the adventure begins.
Our eco-hero team was ready to try again. Flying south to Punta Arenas, Chile.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Punta Arenas City.
Leg one down. Next leg to go.
Punta Arenas is located on the Straits of Magellan, which connects the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. And it's here where we meet our expedition guides.
So, try them on?
Getting our much-needed gear,
Hold on a second here. Oh, it's custom deluxe.
picking up these unmistakable jackets.
I feel like if I'm going to wear this too long, I might have a heat stroke.
Yeah, you don't need stroke. It's really cold in Antarctica, so. And bulky boots. Fashionable? You like them?
They're you.
They're me.
The new thing on South Beach.
Our team now ready for any potentially rough conditions ahead. It's going to be a very long week. All joking aside,
Antarctica is pretty exciting, right?
we had a serious safety meeting.
So I'm going to start off with zodiac safety. Did you hear that click?
It was also a chance to introduce ourselves to our fellow passengers, sharing our adventure.
I don't want you to panic when you see the cameras. We're just doing this wonderful documentary, family viewing, and all of you hopefully will be in it.
With that said, we're finally off on our expedition. There's our penguin plane.
If at first you don't succeed,
Try again. You bet.
And my mother always said, all good things are worth waiting for.
This will be it. Boarding our flight, bound for King George Island.
Welcome to the Antarctica!
Our first steps on the island reminding us exactly where we are. And after a 20-minute hike,
just slide your way down. It's very slippery with that fresh snow on it.
and a chilly Zodiac ride, we made it.
There you are.
For one amazing week.
Welcome on board. You're floating home. The Ocean Adventure for your adventure in Antarctica.
Coming up, our first look at the 7th continent.
I've never seen snow before. In one trip, I've seen snow. I've climbed up a snowy mountain. I have fallen in the snow.
Up close to rookers.
Close encounters with gentle giants.
Yes! Oh God, oh God!
And the one animal that makes our eco-hero giddy. Oh my God, it looked right at you.
Plus,
if we do get the increases in the water levels that they're calling for, we're going to lose the land that most of these people are living on.
The effects of climate change and how what happens in Antarctica hits close to home.
Storm surges and tidal effects will have major impact on South Florida.
And then later, rough seas ahead, giving our crew a scare.
And more surprises ahead as our eco-hero continues the journey to the bottom of the Earth. Time now to test your knowledge. What is the average thickness of the Antarctic ice? Is it A, 1,000 feet, B, 3,000 feet, or C, 1 mile? The answer after the break. Welcome back. What is the average thickness of the Antarctic ice? The answer is C, 1 mile. Sunrise in Sierra Cove. Somehow they seem more incredible here. This is the first magical stop on our expedition to the bottom of the Earth. Our plan to sail south, exploring the islands and icebergs along the Antarctic Peninsula, gliding through the glaciers of the Le Maire Channel, finally crossing the Antarctic Circle.
Looks good?
Our eco-hero team following in the footsteps of early polar explorers. Britain's Sir Ernest Shackleton and Robert Falcon Scott, who were among the first to brave the long winters in Antarctica, using dogs to pull their sleds as they made the southern trek across the continent. Jean-Baptiste Charcot from France, one of the region's first wildlife researchers. And Norway's Roald Amundsen, who became the first man to reach the South Pole in 1912. Our modern-day expedition,
Down there. One more.
a bit more comfortable.
Go ahead.
So guys, is everyone comfortable where they're sitting?
Boarding these fast-moving Zodiacs, ready to explore the region.
Bela already cares so much about the environment, so this will be a really powerful experience for her. This is why I created the Eco-Hero contest. This is a history lesson.
Proteinaceous like this one?
A marine biology lesson, an ecology lesson, all wrapped up into one. Being here and learning about Antarctica will probably make Bela even more passionate about protecting the environment.
Oh, okay.
Glacier ice. You can see there's hardly any air bubbles in it at all. It's been so compressed.
Our expedition guide, David Wood, has been coming to Antarctica for 19 years.
The first time I came down, I think the first time I saw Antarctica, it touched me and I fell in love with it. And every time I see it again, it's like coming back to a true love. And it touches everybody. It's like you've been punched in the chest the first time you see this place.
Simply put, Antarctica takes your breath away. For a teen from Miami Beach, it's like being in another world.
We started with glaciers and icebergs just going around, and even that would be enough to wow me for the rest of the trip. But then we went along shore with some penguins. Oh no! And then we got surprised with two very large humpback whales.
Breeding grounds?
That came so close to the Zodiac that I'm pretty sure everyone on the team was scared that we might be flipped over by them.
Yes! Oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God.
In fact, several times on our journey south, humpback whales stopped by to show off.
They were so calm. You probably wouldn't expect that from such a massive creature, but we had, I think it was 5 Zodiacs surrounding them, and they were just kind of dancing for the camera.
Did you see that whale? Right in front of the tail, whole tail with the behind and the ice and the glaciers. Oh my God, are you serious?
You can't hear no words, right?
I don't know if I was scared or excited when it was that close.
But when it comes to wildlife in Antarctica, nothing makes Bella smile more than the seals.
So cute. I like them because of how funny they are in everything they do. Whether they're way more graceful in the water, but if they're popping out of the water, they just bob their heads up and just like hello. Or on land, they're just flopped over, and they're just so cute. Over there, it's like it has his bum in the air and it's shaking it.
Oh yeah, he does.
We took our Zodiacs right up to the icebergs. We got so close to a Weddell seal that we could practically touch him with his great big eyes. We watched a group of male fur seals. They seemed a little irritated, probably because the female fur seals are still raising their babies and haven't migrated this far south yet for the winter. The crab-eater seals, like the humpback whales, came right up to our Zodiacs. That's the great thing about the wildlife here. The animals aren't frightened of humans. They're just curious.
And this is just, well, the tip of the iceberg here on a continent larger than the United States and Mexico combined. 98% of this vast land is covered in ice. Ancient ice that often has a beautiful blue sparkle because over thousands of years, the air has been pressed out of it, intensifying the color in the sunlight. Ice that scientists say is melting 6 times faster than it was just 40 years ago.
And particularly the last 20, we've seen dramatic retreat of the glaciers. That is, they're melting faster than they're moving forward, and we are seeing more and more of the mountain or rocks in the area exposed.
Remember, the ice is always moving forward.
Geologist Norman Laska studies glaciers. He says what used to be frozen and permanent is now fluid and changing. Like this iceberg we saw. Researchers call it the A57A, which is more than 12 miles long and 5 miles wide. The iceberg breaking off of an ice shelf. The shelves are now melting and breaking off at a faster rate than ever. And in turn, changing sea levels all around the world.
The irony is that it is the least inhabited continent and probably the most important continent when it comes to the human race. This place that seems so desolate, so barren, so drastic in climate and terrain, and yet so vitally important to all of our survival.
It's that lesson our expedition guides like Shane Evoy hope we learn.
We do have to be concerned about it. We do have to think about it because the highest percentage of our population live around the coastal lines. And if we do get the increases in the water levels that they're calling for, if we get a catastrophic melt, we're going to lose the land that most of these people are living on.
Let's just take a meter, about 3 feet rise in sea level by the end of the century. That in itself, with storm surges and tidal effects, will have major impact on South Florida.
It's that connection our South Florida Eco-Hero is soaking in.
When you're on the deck of the ship and then you're looking around, 360 view, and the air is cold, you see 2 whales here, some seals floating on the icebergs, penguins on the mountain nearby. It's just nothing you could imagine.
Coming up, it's not all smooth sailing on this expedition.
Congratulations, welcome to the mainland Antarctica.
A step onto the mainland. Come on.
It is a breathtaking environment that seems like it's a completely different planet.
It's just like you're seeing a nature documentary unfold before your eyes.
And later, the unexpected encounters.
It's a leopard seal! Jeez Louise! Oh my God, I can't believe it!
It's just ahead after the break.
It is the northernmost spot in the southern hemisphere where in December, for just one day, the sun never sets. The Antarctic Circle. It's actually an imaginary line drawn 66.5 degrees south of the equator. It's that often hard-to-reach location we aim to cross during our expedition. But Mother Nature isn't making that journey easy. Facing waves of almost 20 feet and nearly hurricane-force winds, our Eco-Hero expedition appears to be in trouble again.
But Antarctica is a place with extreme conditions, extreme ice, extreme cold, and extreme weather changes. As quickly as the storm came in, it was gone.
Good morning, everybody.
Here we go.
And the conditions were ideal for us to start exploring the land of Antarctica.
I mean, I never thought I would see this. This is just unbelievable.
Congratulations, welcome to the mainland Antarctica.
Here we are,
We did it.
officially on the continent.
After quite a ride.
One small step for us, one huge step for Eco-Heroes.
Yes.
Onward.
Come on, more penguins.
It is a breathtaking environment that seems like it's a completely different planet, but it's really close to home in the way that it matters to us and the effects it's going to have on us in the future.
Whether here at Nico Harbor, an area once home to a floating British whale factory, or nearby Danko Island, exploring the land of Antarctica gives us a new and breathtaking perspective. And a chance to stretch our sea legs, hiking through the ice and snow to take in amazing panoramic views.
I've never seen snow before. In one trip I've seen snow. I've climbed up a snowy mountain. I've fallen in the snow.
Antarctica is actually the coldest, the windiest, and the driest continent in the entire world. But what a lot of people don't know is this place is the largest desert on Earth.
The ice and snow you see has accumulated over millions of years. The average amount of rain and snow combined here in Antarctica adds up to only about 6 inches of water. That's equivalent to the Sahara Desert. Another thing that makes the White Continent unique, it's the only continent with no reptiles.
But Antarctica has something even better: penguins. Lots and lots of Gentoo penguins. And our landings gave us a chance to get up close and personal with rookeries full of feathered families.
So there's a guy right there who's kind of halfway through. See the kind of cottony head?
This one here?
Yeah, it looks like he's kind of losing his hair, kind of. Okay?
Yeah.
The reason they're on land is because they're safe on land. We really have no natural predators on land except as chicks, where the skuas have come down and get them.
Right.
But basically, they have safety in numbers here, and they're just waiting for all those molted feathers to come out and get that beautiful black and white sheen feathering that they have.
They are way cuter than I thought they would be. Everyone's always saying, wow, penguins are so cute, bring me home a penguin, and then I tell them, no, I can't. Just to see the way they all gather together and then jump into the water or get flushed into the water by a crashing wave. And the way they all hop through the water in groups, it was really adorable.
And they're also very playful. It's the end of the summer, so the chicks are getting ready to swim and hunt for their own food. But right now, the penguin parents are feeding the babies. That's why the chicks are so much fatter than the adults. The babies are literally chasing down the parents, and they don't even care if it's their own. They just want to eat. And then there are these great penguin highways, nature's pathways to get penguins to the water and back to the nests. Penguins do 50-50 parenting, so females and males take turns feeding the chicks and watching the nest. And then there was this guy, a little penguin thief. We caught the penguin perpetrator red-handed, taking rocks from a neighboring nest to help fix up his own home. A little penguin home improvement project, rock lifting, so to speak, in Antarctica.
If it's rocks he wanted, that penguin should have come with us to Yankee Harbor.
Please do not try to get photos close to these animals. They are like angry dogs.
A stretch of rocky beach where we found fur seals.
2, 3.
One of Bela's favorites.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Along with lots of Gentoo penguins dotting the landscape. These massive male fur seals can weigh up to 400 pounds, more than twice their female counterparts.
Fur seals were almost wiped out in the 1800s. Their fur was in big demand in England and the US. But thanks to protective laws, researchers say there are more than 3 million fur seals right around here, and their population continues to grow.
They're not even concerned about our presence, so it's just like you're seeing a nature documentary unfold before your eyes.
I think it's a key that we coexist with these animals in a way that makes us realize we need each other. The animals need us, and we need the animals. It's all about a very delicate balance, and I think Antarctica, of all the continents in the world, is a reflection of that balance.
I've just learned so much about the place and how it affects all of us all around the world and its importance. Every day has just been completely perfect. In every excursion we've seen insane amounts of wildlife that apparently is really rare to see on these trips, and everything has just been perfect on this trip. It's unbelievable.
Coming up.
Fucking seal! Jeez Louise! Oh my god, I can't believe it!
The surprise encounters.
That was insane.
And rare sightings.
Bela, that's the Adeli right there.
That left us jaw-dropped.
Plus,
without that sea ice, there's no plankton, there's no krill, no whales, no seals, no penguins.
the most important link in the food chain that fits right in the palm of your hand. That and more when we come back. Here's some more icy trivia for you. What is the lowest air temperature recorded in Antarctica? Is it A, -150.1 Fahrenheit, B, -128.6 Fahrenheit, or C, -105.3 Fahrenheit? The answer when we come back. Welcome back. The lowest air temperature recorded in Antarctica is B, -128.6. It was recorded July 21st, 1983, in the Russian Vostok Station. Summer is winding down.
That's cool stuff.
Which is why much of the wildlife in Antarctica is gearing up for the long and frigid days ahead.
With so many animals on the move, the timing for our expedition could not have been better.
It's great to watch them in the rookeries, but look how close I am to a penguin and how close you are. And that made for some amazing, unexpected encounters. You're so close to them.
Well, if you haven't come outside, you really should.
Oh my God, look at many of them. So many killer whales right next to our ship.
We saw a huge pod of orca, 20 orca with calves, and see them systematically going right around the ship. It's not like we were chasing them; they were actually coming to the ship.
Yes!
They were showing us different views of themselves.
Oh my God, they keep going.
There was obvious curiosity there. You understand the intelligence of these animals.
But they also work cooperatively, and that makes them quite different to many other species.
Yes, so let's continue.
Guide and marine biologist Annie Ingalls has been on more than 200 polar expeditions.
We have the older female, the grandmother, if we use that term, in charge of that group, in charge of educating that group and teaching the young to hunt.
Wow.
That was insane. I wasn't expecting to see anything.
Later, another surprise sighting.
Deep in the bay?
Plopped down among the rocks, this elephant seal, making his migration a little early.
You see this young male there by himself on the island. That was really quite a surprise for me. Obviously, he was a young male that kind of kicked out of the big male population a little early, so he came south a little early.
This guy that's scratching on the beach there is an elephant seal scratching his back.
But he wasn't the only one. Around Yankee Harbor, elephant seals filled the shoreline. Bigger than even a walrus, these are the largest seals in the world. But they are pretty friendly. Just ask that early bird who found the perfect place to perch.
It's a leopard seal! Jeez Louise! Oh my God, I can't believe it!
But our next encounter wasn't quite so cute. The leopard seal, known as a fierce predator. This exciting encounter at sea, a good reminder we're in the wild. This leopard seal setting its sight on a Gentoo penguin.
And anybody who has a cat, who's seen a cat catch a mouse and see it play with it and plays it and tease it, it's actually kind of almost disturbing to watch, but that's what that seal did. That leopard seal played with that penguin, let it get away, and then got it again, let it get away, then got it again, and then finally when there was no more playing, it finished it off.
The leopard seal is the only seal here who eats penguins, and even other smaller seals. Leopard seals are also known for attacking crab-eater seals when they're young, leaving those seals with distinctive scars.
But the biggest danger for animals here may not be the predators, but rather climate change. Bella, that's the Adelie right there. An Adelie penguin, one of the few we spotted. Made famous in the movie Happy Feet. They aren't so happy now. Their population threatened by the declining amount of sea ice and its effect on the main food source, krill.
It's all a delicate chain, and people have to understand that link is probably the most important link, and ironically, the smallest.
The tiny shrimp-like creature that fits in the palm of your hand is a life source of Antarctica. That little guy's krill.
down here, the key species for all of the animals and the penguins is krill. And krill are sensitive to changes in their environment.
Plankton grows underneath that sea ice that the krill feed on. Without that sea ice, there's no plankton, there's no krill, no whales, no seals, no penguins. Everything starts to catastrophically collapse.
We're finding that with the changes in krill availability and changes in temperature, we're finding fewer chinstrap penguins.
The chinstrap penguin, their population declining by a dramatic 50% in recent decades.
These colder oceans are becoming slightly more acidic. Krill have a carapace, they have a structure that relies on a certain acidity.
The acidity, a result of rising levels of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and the ocean's absorption of it.
I think everything we do impacts upon the oceans and the atmosphere. We can make changes in our daily life.
Something our eco-hero has taken to heart.
And it's not only how here affects there, but how us in Florida affect Antarctica, which in the end affects us again. It's all really closely related.
Coming up,
climate change is certainly impacting penguins, as with other species here.
the hot topic on the coldest continent. We go inside the research facilities.
Hello, folks!
That aren't all about work.
So it's an absolute time capsule from the 1950s.
And inside the museum at the bottom of the earth.
Plus,
cheers!
Crossing ahead.
Raise our glass to the Antarctic Circle.
All right after the break.
The only thing native in Antarctica is the wildlife. The people who call this place home come and go, working at the dozens of research stations across the continent. Our Eco-Hero team visiting the Brown Station, an Argentine base with an interesting past. In the winter of 1984, the station's doctor burned the station down so he could go home. Today, the station is only occupied during the summer months.
You're so pretty.
It's home to about a dozen researchers and lots of Gentoo penguins.
Hello, folks. Welcome to Vernadsky.
Ukraine's Vernadsky Station is where researchers help discover the hole in the ozone layer. Like most research stations here, visitors are welcome.
We are right there,
letting us get a glimpse of their day-to-day lives.
This area.
The station is equipped with labs, offices, a gym, and even a room for surgery. Vernadsky was established in 1947 by the British, who then sold it to the Ukraine for just €1 in 1996.
But it's not all work and no play. After writing a postcard to send back home, you can head over for a game of pool, pick up a little something at the southernmost souvenir shop on Earth, or get a little something to warm you up. Yep, the station has its own bar, serving up a homemade vodka. Bella is a little too young for that. But seeing the research center did get Bella thinking about her future.
I would love to do this at any point in my life. To be able to come here for a summer and work on a research project with one of these bases, to collaborate on some of the scientific research, yeah.
Antarctica may be the coldest continent on Earth, but it's the hottest place in the world when it comes to research into global warming and climate change. So facilities like this are expected.
But what surprised us was finding a museum here. Port Lockroy, home to Base A, an abandoned military base, now a museum. Base A is manned for 4 months a year by 4 people, and about 17,000 visitors come to see it every year.
It was put in 1944 during a top secret wartime operation, and we look after it as a historic site and museum now.
Camilla Nicol is the CEO of the UK Antarctic Heritage Trust, which watches over 6 historic sites in the region.
It's a fantastic historic site with a very scientific history, so very early measurements of the ionosphere, upper atmosphere were made here, so which paved the way to the discovery of the hole in the ozone layer. So it's an absolute time capsule from the 1950s British Antarctic operations of that time.
The museum restored in 1996 to reflect life in 1959. The workshop, communications area, rooms, and a kitchen, some with some very interesting recipes.
Seal liver, seal heart, I saw penguin breast.
And people come to the Antarctic for the wildlife and the fantastic landscapes and that wilderness experience. And I think what's unexpected is some of the human sort of footprints, if you like, that are left here.
And we left our footprint signing the guest book and sending home another postcard.
It's the most southerly public post office in the world. So it's also affectionately known by visitors as the Penguin Post Office.
Speaking of penguins, our expedition team at Quark works with Oxford University on something called the Penguin Watch.
Wow.
Trips like ours helping to fund the vital research.
With us at Quark, we help research. You've seen along a lot of the landing sites these cameras that are set up in the penguin colonies, and they monitor the penguins coming, the penguins going, the breeding cycle, and they can compare it from season to season, year to year.
That research piquing the interest of our eco-hero, already eager to share what she's learned back home.
I'm going to have evidence and pictures and videos to show how really pristine it is. And there's a lot of information that I didn't know unless I had come on this trip.
Coming up,
We're at the bottom of the Earth and we made it.
crossing the circle.
To the Antarctic Circle.
Tourism on the 7th continent.
The fun. The plunge.
People leave here, they can go back home and be ambassadors for Antarctica.
All when we come back.
It's a continent with no government, no permanent human population, and no official language. But Antarctica does have a growing ecotourism business. This summer, from November through February, more than 40,000 visitors from all over the world made the journey here, like we did.
You look around and you've got the glaciers of Antarctica, you've got the icebergs of Antarctica, and then right down to the wildlife. You can't help but take it in.
For one magical week, that's exactly what we did.
I've traveled all around the world, and quite frankly, this is the most stunning, most surreal landscape I've ever seen in my life.
It's like being on another planet. It's a pristine planet protected by the 1991 Antarctic Treaty and the strict rules enforced by the International Association of Antarctica Tour Operators. Guidelines include carefully disinfecting boots, staying 15 feet away from wildlife,
Hello, folks.
and limiting the number of people per landing.
It's actually very educational.
They don't have to fly.
It's not just tour guides on this ship. It's like a specialist, scientists, biologists.
Several islands. Those specialists like marine biologist Annie Ingalls, hoping to send home advocates for Antarctica.
And to be able to educate people just a little bit so people leave here a little better informed and that they can go back home and be ambassadors for Antarctica.
Ambassadors like Bela.
You've won a prize here because you've done great things for the environment. But in reality, we're also passing to you a tremendous amount of responsibility. And that responsibility is to get back to the U.S., to talk to your peers, the people who are going to be making the decisions that are going to either protect or condemn a place like this.
When we're at equinox,
Our guides know it can't be all lectures and learning. These eco expeditions are actually a lot of fun. From a polar barbecue on board the ship to a kayaking adventure through the icy waters, the goal is to give eco-tourists a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Antarctica was more than I ever dreamed it would be.
Some brave, or perhaps just crazy passengers taking the Polar Plunge. Our eco-hero Bela also making that leap. A frigid reminder she's not in Miami Beach anymore.
And that's what we want, is for people to go home sensing that they've had an adventure.
To the Antarctic Circle.
That adventure turning into a polar party as we cross the Antarctic Circle. Complete with a King Neptune sighting and an ancient ritual for good luck at sea. One that seemed a little fishy to us.
You did it!
Good job!
You kiss a fish!
But everyone on board the Ocean Adventurer agreeing Antarctica doesn't disappoint.
I've seen somewhere that has intrigued me for so many years. I've actually seen it in the flesh, and it is just wonderful.
But when they come here, they feel it, they hear it. That helps them fall in love with it. And when you fall in love with something, you will help protect it.
Here's one more question for you. Has a child ever been born in Antarctica? Yes or no? The answer after the break. Welcome back. The answer to the question, has a child ever been born in Antarctica, is yes. At least 11 children have been born in the region. Emilio Marcos Palma was born in 1978. Argentina sent his pregnant mom there in an effort to claim a portion of the continent. This expedition was unlike any we've ever taken.
You know, we've seen whales, we've seen penguins, we've seen seals, we've seen incredible icebergs. I mean, this is really some of the most beautiful natural wonders I've ever seen, and I've traveled around the world.
It took more than 2 years to get here, and only 2 seconds for Antarctica to leave a lifelong impression.
This has sparked an interest in a lot more research actually on the ship as far as sea level rise and glaciology and stuff like that I never had the opportunity to even think about before because I had never seen it.
And so we accomplished exactly what we set out to do.
Cheers!
Cross the Antarctic Circle.
This whale's ribcage.
And open our eco-heroes' eyes to a whole new world of opportunities.
This has definitely been life-changing. It's something that I'm never going to forget.
This has been a once-in-a-lifetime journey. The awe-inspiring views, the amazing experiences just took our breath away.
But we've also learned that the preservation of this majestic continent is important to the preservation of the world, especially all of us in South Florida.
We hope you enjoyed coming along with us on our expedition to the bottom of the Earth.
And to Bela, congratulations on being our Antarctic eco-hero. I'm Ron McGill.
And I'm Christy Kruger from Antarctica. Thanks for joining us.